They ended up at the park, where children played and couples strolled. Clara sprawled on the grass, while Elena sat stiffly, scanning the crowd. "Relax," Clara murmured. "No one's looking at you the way you think they are." But then Elena noticed something remarkable. An older woman passing with her dog gave her a knowing smile, like she understood. A little girl tugged her mother's hand and whispered, "Her dress is pretty," before skipping ahead. For the first time, Elena felt like she wasn't an imposter. She was simply seen. As the afternoon wore on, Elena realized something shocking. She wasn't counting down the minutes until she could change back. She was savoring them. The breeze, the compliments, even the way the sundress swirled when she stood, it all felt natural, almost joyful. By the time they walked home, she caught her reflection in a shop window and paused. For once, she didn't immediately flinch. She tilted her head, watching the skirt sway, and whispered under her breath, "I could get used to this." Back at Clara's apartment, Elena hung the sundress carefully, treating it less like clothing and more like a treasure. She touched the fabric lightly, heart racing. Clara leaned in the doorway with a small smile. "You looked happy today." Elena turned, hesitant but honest. "I was happier than I've been in a long time." The admission hung in the air, heavy with possibility. By the second week, Elena's confidence had begun to take root. She still felt shaky some mornings, still second-guessed every step in heels, but the sundress experience lingered like a secret glow. For once, she could look in the mirror without immediately flinching. But reality had a way of interrupting the fragile peace. After class one afternoon, Elena spotted Ryan Carter leaning against the campus fountain, arms crossed, eyes fixed on her. He'd been Ethan's teammate, one of the loudest voices in their old friend group. "Ethan," he called, his voice carrying across the quad. Elena froze. A dozen students turned their heads. Clara whispered urgently, "Keep walking. Don't give him the power." But Ryan pushed off the fountain and closed the distance. "What the hell is this? Skirts? Makeup? You're seriously doing this?" Elena forced herself to stand taller. "My name's Elena." Ryan laughed, sharp and cruel. "You're losing it. Man, the guys are all talking, saying you've gone off the deep end." Clara stepped forward, but Elena lifted a hand to stop her. For the first time, she didn't want someone else to fight this battle. Elena's voice trembled but held steady. "This isn't about them. Or you. It's about me." Ryan shook his head. "You're throwing your life away for some stupid bet." "Maybe it started as a bet," Elena said, her voice rising, "but it's not anymore. You wouldn't understand because you've never had to question who you are." Students had begun to gather, watching. Ryan sneered, muttered something under his breath, and stormed off. Elena's knees nearly gave out the moment he was gone, but Clara caught her arm. "You did it. You stood your ground." The small crowd slowly dispersed, some whispering, some curious, but no one laughing. Not this time. That evening, Elena sat on Clara's couch, still shaking. "He made it sound like I'm broken. Like I'm betraying who I was." Clara leaned forward. "You're not betraying Ethan. You're discovering Elena. That's not weakness, it's courage." Elena swallowed hard. For the first time, she realized she hadn't thought of herself as Ethan all day. As she got ready for bed, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Don't let them get to you. You looked happier today than I've ever seen you. L." Elena stared, stunned. "Lily." Her chest warmed, the sting of Ryan's words fading under the weight of a single truth. For every person trying to tear her down, there were others quietly cheering her on. The next few days brought an unexpected calm. Classes still carried stares, and the cafeteria still buzzed with whispers, but Elena felt stronger. Lily's quiet message replayed in her mind whenever doubt crept in. One afternoon, Lily slid into the seat next to her in the library. "You handled Ryan better than most people would have," she said softly. Elena blushed. "I was shaking the whole time." That's the thing about courage, Lily replied. It doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you did it anyway. For the first time, Elena believed it, but campus has a way of turning courage into spectacle. By midweek, a rumor started spreading: Ethan Mercer had lost a bet and gone too far. Some said he was prancing around in dresses for attention. Others whispered darker things, that he was confused, unstable, maybe even dangerous. Elena overheard fragments everywhere, in hallways, at the coffee line, even in class. 30 days, right? Bet he can't last half that. Honestly, it's pathetic. I heard he actually likes it. The last one cut the deepest. Because it wasn't mocking, it was almost true. And that terrified her. That night, Elena burst into Clara's apartment, slamming the door. They're saying I'm a freak. That this is just a game gone wrong. Maybe they're right. Clara set aside her notebook and stood. Do you believe them? Elena's throat tightened. I don't know what I believe anymore. Clara put her hands firmly on Elena's shoulders. Listen to me. They don't get to define you. Only you do. And maybe they're scared because you're forcing them to see something they don't understand. Tears pricked at Elena's eyes. She wanted to believe that. The next day, Lily found her sitting alone under the oak trees by the library. Without a word, she sat down and handed Elena a coffee. They'll get bored of talking eventually, Lily said gently. But you? You're not going anywhere. And that scares them more than anything. Elena laughed weakly. You make it sound like I'm some kind of warrior. Lily smiled. Maybe you are. For the first time in days, the knot in Elena's chest loosened. She realized Lily wasn't just kind, she was quietly, steadily rooting for her. That night, Elena stood in front of Clara's mirror again, wearing the yellow sundress. She twirled slowly, watching the fabric ripple. The reflection looking back wasn't Ethan in disguise. It wasn't even just Elena playing along with a dare. It was someone who might be real. Someone she was beginning to want to keep. The email arrived on a Wednesday afternoon. Clara waved her phone at Elena, excitement in her voice. Guess what? The Women's Equity Club is hosting a panel this Friday. They want students to share experiences about gender and campus life. I told them about you. Elena's jaw dropped. You what? Clara grinned unapologetically. Relax. They think your story could make an impact. You don't have to say yes, but don't you want people to hear it from you instead of from whispers? Elena's stomach churned. The idea of speaking in front of a crowd, while dressed as herself, was terrifying. And yet, a flicker of something else burned beneath the fear, the thought of being seen and heard, on her own terms. Friday arrived too fast. Clara helped her into a navy skirt and a soft cream blouse, professional but feminine. Her hands trembled as she applied lipstick, smudging it twice before Clara steadied her. You don't have to be perfect, Clara said gently. You just have to be real. By the time they reached the auditorium, Elena's heart was pounding so hard she could barely hear. Rows of students filled the seats, professors scattered among them. At the front sat the panelists, students, activists, and now, when her turn came, Elena rose slowly, the microphone heavy in her hands. 100 eyes stared back. My name is... Elena, she began, voice wavering. A murmur rippled through the audience, recognition, surprise, disbelief. She pressed on. This started as a bet. 30 days living as a woman. I thought it would be a joke, or at least easy. But it wasn't. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done. She paused, scanning the crowd. Some faces smirked, others leaned in, curious. I've been laughed at, ignored, treated differently just for existing. But I've also been supported. And seen. And I've learned more about strength in these weeks than I did in years as Ethan. Her voice cracked on the name, but she steadied herself. I don't know what this means yet. But I know this, the things women face every day are real. And we need to stop pretending otherwise. Silence. Then, unexpectedly, applause. Clara clapped the loudest, beaming. A few students rose to their feet, though others sat stiffly, arms crossed. But it didn't matter. For the first time, Elena hadn't hidden. She had spoken as herself. As the crowd dispersed, a professor approached her. "You were brave up there," she said kindly. "If you'd ever like to turn this into a research project, my door is open." Clara squeezed Elena's hand, whispering, "Told you." Impact. But before Elena could respond, she noticed Ryan in the back of the room, arms folded, his eyes unreadable. He didn't clap. He didn't smile. He just stared. And Elena knew her journey was far from over. The auditorium had emptied, leaving only echoes and scattered programs on the floor. Elena lingered near the stage, still trembling from her speech. Clara was chatting with a professor, but Elena's eyes kept drifting toward the back where Ryan stood like a shadow. When Clara stepped away for a moment, Ryan seized his chance. He strode down the aisle, each step heavy with unspoken tension. "So," he said, voice low but sharp, "you've really gone all in." Elena's breath caught. "Ryan." He cut her off with a bitter laugh. "That speech? That wasn't brave. That was embarrassing. Everyone's talking about you, Ethan. You've turned yourself into a joke." The name hit her like a slap. Elena clenched her fists. "It's Elena." Ryan's jaw tightened. "You think a skirt and some makeup erase who you are? We trained together. We fought on the field. That guy, Ethan, he mattered. And now? You're throwing him away." Elena's chest ached. "I'm not throwing anyone away. I'm just finding something different." "Different?" Ryan scoffed. "Or just confused?" The word sliced through her. She wanted to fire back, but the fight drained from her. For a moment, doubt coiled tight around her throat. What if he was right? What if this was confusion, not discovery, enough? Clara's voice cracked like a whip as she stepped between them. "You don't get to decide who she is, Ryan. You don't get to tear her down because you're uncomfortable." Ryan's eyes flicked between them. For a moment, guilt flickered in his expression, but pride quickly buried it. "Whatever. Just don't come crying when this blows up in your face." He turned and walked out, his footsteps echoing against the empty walls. Elena's knees buckled, and she sank onto a chair. Clara crouched beside her, gripping her hands. "Hey! Look at me. He doesn't get to define you. He's scared because you're breaking rules he never questioned." Tears stung Elena's eyes. "But what if he's right? What if I'm just lost?" Clara squeezed tighter. "Then being lost is part of finding yourself. You're not broken, Elena. You're becoming." The words steadied her, but Ryan's voice still echoed in her mind long after they left the building. Back in Clara's apartment, Elena sat in front of the mirror, wiping away her makeup slowly. Her reflection blurred with tears. Confused. Lost. Joke. She pressed her hands to the desk, whispering fiercely, "No. I'm more than that." And for the first time, she wasn't just saying it for Clara's sake, she was saying it for her own. The next day, Elena avoided the quad. She kept her head down in class, barely speaking, her confidence fractured by Ryan's words. Confused. Joke. They clung to her like shadows. By late afternoon, she slipped into the library, hoping to vanish among the rows of books. She tucked herself at a corner table, hiding behind a laptop she wasn't even using. That's where Lily found her. Without asking, Lily slid into the seat across from her, setting down 2 coffees. "You disappeared today." Elena shrugged. "Needed space." Lily studied her carefully. "Or maybe you needed someone to remind you that Ryan's words aren't true." Elena looked up sharply. "You heard?" Everyone heard. Lily's tone was calm, not pitiful. He wanted to humiliate you. But most people weren't laughing. They were watching. Curious. Some were even impressed. Elena scoffed. Impressed by what? A disaster in heels? Lily leaned forward, her voice soft but firm. Impressed that you stood there at all. That you didn't run. Do you know how many people hide every day instead of being themselves? You didn't. Elena's throat tightened. But what if I don't even know who myself is? Ethan, Elena. I feel split down the middle. Lily shook her head. You're not split. You're growing. People think identity is a straight line, but it's not. It's messy, confusing, terrifying. And it's also brave. For a moment, the noise of the library faded. It was just the two of them, the weight of Lily's words pressing against Elena's doubt until cracks began to form. Lily reached into her bag and pulled out a simple silver bracelet, sliding it across the table. Here. For you. Elena hesitated. I can't take that. It's not about talking, Lily said gently. It's about wearing something that reminds you, you belong. Even when people like Ryan try to convince you otherwise. Elena picked up the bracelet, the cool metal against her skin. When she clasped it onto her wrist, her reflection on the laptop screen looked different. Not whole, not certain, but steadier. As they left together, Lily bumped her shoulder lightly. Next time you feel like hiding, text me. I'll drag you back into the light. Elena managed a laugh, the first genuine one all day. Careful what you promise. Not a promise, Lily said with a smile. A guarantee. For the first time since Ryan's attack, Elena walked across campus without bowing her head. The bracelet glinted in the fading sunlight, a small but undeniable reminder, someone believed in her. The weekend arrived with an invitation Elena never thought she'd accept, a campus social event hosted in the student union. Normally she avoided gatherings like that, too many eyes, too many whispers. But Lily had nudged her gently all week. You can't keep hiding in corners, Lily insisted. Come with me. If it's awful, we'll sneak out early and get ice cream. That promise sealed it. So Saturday night, Elena stood nervously in Clara's apartment, smoothing the skirt of her navy dress. The silver bracelet Lily had given her gleamed on her wrist, a silent anchor. You look incredible, Clara said, handing her a small clutch. And terrified. Elena laughed weakly. Both can be true. The student union buzzed with chatter, laughter, and music humming low in the background. Groups clustered around tables with food and drinks. Elena felt her chest tighten as soon as they stepped inside, every glance burning like a spotlight. But Lily stayed close, guiding her through the crowd. They found a spot near the refreshments where Clara joined them. Slowly, the panic began to fade. It was almost normal.